10 minutes before the hearing, my daughter-in-law slapped me on the courthouse steps. She called me dead weight, thinking I'd come to beg for scraps. She was wrong. 10 minutes later, I was the one looking down from the bench, telling the bailiff to call her case. I had not come to beg. I had come to preside. My name is Eleanor Whitfield. I am 62 years old, and my grey hair is cut short. Practical. My steps are slow, but they are steady, and this morning, they carry me up the wide concrete stairs of the North Ridge County Courthouse. This is Hollow Bend, Colorado. The air is thin and sharp, but not as sharp as the look my daughter-in-law, Brianna Hartwell, gives me as I reach the top step. Brianna is an ambitious lawyer with the newly minted firm of Hartwell & Perch, LLP, and she stands here, flanked by her associates, like a queen holding court on the pavement. A smile, thin and brittle as ice, stretches across her face. It does not reach her eyes. She waits until I am within arm's reach. Then, she slaps me. The sound is a flat, ugly crack in the morning bustle. It is not a gentle tap. It is a full, open-palmed strike, delivered with calculated force. My head snaps to the side, and a collective gasp ripples through the crowd. This is the courthouse entrance, not a private room. The air is thick with the clatter of expensive heels on stone, the rustle of legal files tucked under arms, and the low murmur of pretrial conversations. I see at least 2 people angling their smartphones, pretending to check messages while their cameras drink in the drama. Behind Brianna, frozen in a terrible tableau of indecision, stands my son, Luke Whitfield. He winces, his hand halfway up as if to stop an action already completed. He says nothing. He does not step forward. Brianna leans in, her voice a venomous whisper meant only for me, though her eyes are playing to the small audience she has gathered. "You are just dead weight," she hisses, her perfume suffocating. "After this hearing, you will be gone." I do not respond. I do not grant her the satisfaction of a reaction. I slowly turn my head back to face her. I raise my left hand, not in anger, but to simply touch the stinging skin of my cheek. I feel the cold from the massive stone columns of the courthouse at my back, and I feel the fiery heat of humiliation blooming on my face. The contrast is grounding. From the grand lobby inside, a wall-mounted clock echoes a single, metallic tick. It is 8:50 a.m., 10 minutes remain. My gaze deliberately shifts past her, past the nervous crowd, to a long, polished hallway to the right, the internal corridor, the one for staff. Today, there will be no tears. I made that promise to myself this morning. Today, there is only lawful authority. Luke refuses to meet my eyes. He is studying a crack in the pavement as if it holds the secrets of the universe. His shame a palpable thing. Brianna just smirks, victory already settled in her features. She is absolutely certain of her win, of my defeat, of my irrelevance. A uniformed courthouse guard, standing near the metal detectors, takes a half step toward us, his expression a mask of professional confusion. He does not know what to do. I give the guard a single, small nod. My voice is steady, low. I'm fine. I do not look at Luke again. I do not look at Brianna. My business is not with them, not here, not like this. My steady steps resume. I do not walk toward the main public gallery where Brianna and Luke are headed. I do not walk toward the public restrooms to check the red mark on my face. I turn away from the crowd, away from my family, and walk with purpose, straight toward the solid oak door marked, in clear, brass letters, judges only. The heavy oak door clicks shut behind me, the sound muted, final. The chaotic noise of the public entrance vanishes, replaced instantly by the hushed, sacred air of the chambers. The smell here is different. It is not the stale coffee and palpable anxiety of the lobby. It is the clean, sharp scent of new reams of paper and the deep, reassuring aroma of old oak polish. This is the scent of order, of procedure. Maribel Sloane looks up from her desk as I enter, a stack of case files balanced precariously on the corner. She has been the senior clerk of this court for 30 years, a woman who has seen everything and is impressed by nothing. A small, genuine smile touches her lips. "The visiting judge is right on time," she says, her voice a low, calm hum that has quieted lawyers for decades. "Traffic was light this morning. Maribel," I reply, my voice even. I move toward the designated locker, a tall, dark wood cabinet identical to the others lining the wall. She nods, already turning back to her work, the consummate professional. I open the locker door. Inside, my black robe hangs, perfectly pressed, a column of dark wool. It looks inert, but I know the weight of it. On the inner lining, just below the collar, is the discreet, dark grey embroidery, Eleanor Whitfield visiting judge. I take off my wool cardigan, the one Brianna has often mocked as frumpy, and I fold it carefully. I place it on the small shelf inside, next to my purse. I look down at my hands. They are trembling, but only slightly. It is not the palsy of age. It is not fear, as Brianna would assume. It is the familiar, sharp hum of adrenaline. It is the feeling of settling into a harness one has worn 1,000 times before. The feeling just before the bell rings. On the small desk in the corner is the weekly duty roster. It is always kept confidential until the morning of the hearings, a necessity to prevent judge shopping. This one is signed with the firm, decisive ink of Acting Chief Judge Dalton. My assignment is clear. Courtroom B4, 9 a.m., one single commercial hearing. Next to the roster is the case file. It is thick, at least 3 inches of paper bound in a faded blue folder, heavy with motions and appendices. I tap the cover. Hearthstone Modular versus Red Ravine Logistics. I flip open the first page, my eyes scanning the preliminary summary. A breach of contract dispute. The amount claimed $620,000. My eyes move down the list of attorneys of record, and there it is, just as I knew it would be, noted by the pre-trial clerk. Plaintiff's counsel, Brianna Hartwell, Esquire. I pause. I do not allow myself to feel the sting on my cheek. I do not allow myself to picture Luke's averted, cowardly eyes. In this room, I am not Eleanor Whitfield, the mother, the widow, the dead weight. In this room, I am the court. I take a single, deep, centering breath. It settles the adrenaline and clears the mind. I pick up the silver pen beside the desk blotter and sign the acknowledgement form, the small sheet of paper that officially transfers jurisdiction of the room to me. I have taken the bench. I glance at the small, organized space. Everything is exactly as it should be. The heavy wooden gavel, worn smooth by other hands, rests on its block to my right. I take my reading glasses from my pocket and place them precisely next to it, perfectly parallel to the edge of the desk. Maribel stands up, holding a final sheet of paper. "It's time, Your Honor," she says. Through the thick, soundproofed walls. I hear the faint, electronic chime that signals the bailiff in the courtroom to open the doors. The bell is ringing. The session is about to begin. The side door to the courtroom opens with a soft, hydraulic sigh. The sound is barely audible, but in the expectant hush of a room waiting for a judge, it is definitive. I enter. The room is already standing, a blur of faces and dark suits, but they are not yet looking at me. They are looking at the bench, the empty chair. I walk with the same steady, measured pace I used on the courthouse steps. 3 shallow, carpeted steps lead up to the dais. I ascend them. The wood is solid beneath my feet. I reach the high-backed leather chair, pull it out slightly, and sit. The world looks different from up here. The slight elevation, combined with the subtle pin-spot lighting from the ceiling, is designed to command focus. It works. All rise. The bailiff's voice booms, a moment late, as he sees me settle. The Northridge County Court, Part B4, is now in session. The Honourable Eleanor Whitfield presiding. The scraping of chairs stops. The rustling of papers ceases. A complete, heavy silence falls as the room fully registers who is sitting in the chair. I look at my desk, at the file, not yet at the room, but I can feel their eyes. I can feel the precise moment the collective gaze finds me, and I can feel Brianna's stare most of all. I allow myself a slow, deliberate scan of the room. I see her. She is standing at the plaintiff's table, her head slightly bowed as she was shuffling her notes. She looks up, her expression one of impatient, professional readiness. That expression lasts for a single, frozen second. It is replaced by a flicker of sharp, animal confusion, the look of someone seeing a cat in a dog kennel. Her brain is rejecting the data. Her eyes dart from my face to the bailiff, then back to my face. The confusion curdles. It sours into stark, white-hot disbelief. Her mouth falls open slightly. And then, finally, the disbelief collapses into raw, unshielded panic. Her face, so composed and mocking 10 minutes ago, is now a mask of sheer horror. Her hand, the one that struck me, visibly trembles on her stack of files. At the edge of my vision, in the first row of the public gallery, I hear a clatter. A pen, dropped on the wooden floor, rolling. It is Luke. He has sprung up so fast he've knocked it from his legal pad. His eyes are wide, not with panic, but with a profound, earth-shattering shock. He is not looking at me. He is staring, mesmerized, at the simple, polished brass nameplate on the front of my desk. Judge Eleanor Whitfield. I do not acknowledge him. I do not acknowledge Brianna. I look down at the blue folder before me. Good morning, I say. My voice is calm, amplified just enough by the microphone to fill every corner of the room. It is the voice I was trained to use. We are here this morning for the hearing on case number 22-907, Hearthstone Modular versus Red Ravine Logistics. I have read the briefs from both parties. I look up, my gaze sweeping over the plaintiff's counsel and then the defendants, giving neither any special weight. Before we begin, the rules for my courtroom are simple. You will not interrupt me, and you will not interrupt opposing counsel. All arguments will be directed to the bench. When you cite a case or a document, you will do so with precision. We will not waste time searching for documents that should have been tabbed. Is that clear? The defense attorney, a man I do not know, nods sharply. Yes, Your Honour. I turn my gaze to Brianna. Councillor Hartwell, are you ready to proceed? She is still standing, but she looks as though she has been hollowed out. Her colour is high, a flush of crimson that battles the paleness of her shock. She swallows, a visible, painful contraction in her throat. Yes, she chokes out. The word is a dry rasp. She clears her throat. A harsh, scraping sound. Yes. Ready. Your Honour. The title. Your Honour. Sounds like it is being torn from her. A reluctant, painful extraction. It is nothing like the sneering, dead weight from the steps. Very well, I say, my voice flat, neutral, steel, wrapped in velvet. You may begin with your opening statement. Brianna takes a shaky breath. She squares her shoulders, a pathetic attempt to gather the shattered fragments of her professional persona. She pulls a sheet of paper from her stack. The rustle of it is deafening in the silence. Your Honour, she begins, her voice pitched a full octave too high, a brittle facsimile of confidence. This is a straightforward case of breach of contract. My client, Hearthstone Modular, was engaged by the defendant to provide materials for a project, a contract valued at over $650,000, and the defendant— I let her finish the sentence. Then, I hold up one hand, not a wave, just a simple, stopping gesture. Counselor. She freezes, mid-word. Let us be precise, I say, my voice still quiet, almost gentle. The filed contract, which I have in front of me, is for $620,000, not $650,000. Please refer to Clause 7.3 on page 42 of the main agreement you yourselves filed. I pause, letting the corrections sink in. We will maintain accuracy from the outset. Please restart your opening statement, using the correct figures. Every eye in the room, the opposing counsel, who is now trying to hide a smile. Brianna's own junior associates, the court reporter. Even Luke swivels to her. She is exposed. A novice corrected on the most basic facts of her own case. The red on her face deepens as she fumbles, her trembling hands trying to find a page she never expected to need. The authority in the room has been established. I watch Brianna fumble for the correct page, her manufactured confidence shredding like wet paper. This panic is not new to me. I have seen it many times before, from this very chair. What is new is the face it belongs to. She would not know that. She thinks I am just Luke's mother, a soft, elderly woman who knits and keeps quiet. That was intentional, on my part. When Luke married her, I saw her ambition, her sharp edges, and I made a choice. I wanted to be a mother, a grandmother, not a threat. So, I buried my past, the past she never bothered to ask about, the past where I served for 12 years on the state appellate court, 3 levels above this county room, the past I walked away from, 3 years ago, without regret, to hold my own mother's hand as she succumbed to a cruel illness. When my mother passed, the robe stayed in storage. I was done with that life. I wanted a quiet one. Brianna made that impossible. It began slowly, the way rot always does. Subtle digs at my grey hair during family dinners, jokes about the cozy size of my home, a house I owned outright. Then came my grandson. My access was curated, limited. Brianna explained I was not to post photos, as it would confuse her brand. Then, I was not to watch him, as I might forget something or spoil his routines. The implication was clear. I was old. I was out of touch. I was embarrassing. The breaking point was my grandson's second birthday. I was not invited. The digital invitation sent to everyone else, the one Luke claimed was a technical glitch, never arrived. I drove over anyway, clutching a hand-knitted blanket and a wooden train. I saw the party through the bay window, a house full of strangers, catered food, a professional photographer. I left the gift on the porch, in the cold, driving rain, and went home. That night, I let myself cry. The next morning, I started making calls, but the true catalyst, the moment the steel returned to my spine, came 6 months ago. I was at their house, a rare, supervised visit. Luke left his laptop open while he and Brianna argued in the garage. An email draft was on the screen. His, but not his words. The words belonged to Brianna. It was a petition, a draft for a guardianship hearing. It cited my increasing cognitive decline, my confusion, my inability to manage my own affairs. It was a legal framework built on a foundation of lies she had been seeding for months. Then I saw the attachment, a full appraisal of my home, valuing it at $240,000, and a link to the brochure for a private assisted living facility, the expensive one, the one that required a substantial buy-in. The plan was clear. Declare me incompetent, seize my assets to pay for my own imprisonment, and remove the dead weight. I did not confront them. You do not confront a snake. You cut off its head. I left their house and called Arthur Keene. Arthur is an independent attorney, a man whose integrity I trusted. He had argued a complex water rights case before my appellate panel 15 years ago. He had lost, but he had been brilliant, and he had been right. I was the dissenting opinion. We had been allies in the quiet fight for judicial ethics ever in. Within 2 days, my world was locked down. Arthur arranged for 2 separate, independent neurological and cognitive evaluations. My results were not just not declining, they were in the 99th percentile for my age group. We had the medical records notarized and sealed. Arthur personally oversaw the redrafting of my will and trust, adding clauses so ironclad against undue influence that a team of corporate lawyers could not crack them. Then, Arthur made his own move. He knew Chief Judge Dalton. He quietly, unofficially, informed Dalton of a potential and disturbing conflict of interest targeting a former member of the bench. He laid out the guardianship plot, and then he made a suggestion. He called it an integrity test. This case, Hearthstone versus Red Ravine, had been on the docket for months. Brianna was the counsel. The scheduled judge was retiring. Arthur proposed that Dalton use his discretion to appoint me, a visiting judge, to this specific hearing, a test to see if Brianna's ambition would override her ethics, or if her personal vendetta would poison the proceedings. Dalton, a man who despises dirty lawyers more than I do, agreed. But he had one condition. The hearing would be fully recorded, both audio and video, and in the observation room behind the one-way glass, 2 senior members of the Judicial Ethics Committee would be sitting, watching every second. Brianna is not just arguing her case to me. She is performing for an audience she cannot see, an audience that holds her entire career in its hands. Brianna finally finds the correct page. She restarts her argument, her voice tight and strained. But she pushes forward, building a narrative of a client who was wronged, who delivered in good faith and was met with non-payment. She is hitting her stride now, the muscle memory of her courtroom persona taking over, even as her face remains pale with shock. I let her speak for 3 minutes. Then I interject, my voice cutting cleanly through her rhetoric. Councillor Hartwell, let us move to the delivery manifests. Please confirm the agreed-upon final delivery date for the modular units. She blinks, thrown by the interruption. The date was March 1st, Your Honour. As we stated, the units were... I am asking for the final date, Councillor. The one in the revised schedule, Addendum B, not the initial, superseded date. She shuffles her papers. Yes, March 1st. My client met that deadline. That is not what the opposing counsel's brief suggests, I say, tapping the file. Mr. Finch, your brief alleges a significant delay. Do you have documentation for that? Matteo Finch, the defense counsel, stands. He is calm, organized, and smells blood in the water. We do, Your Honour. We have the signed receiving memo, dated March 22nd, indicating a delay of 21 days. I look back to Brianna. The courtroom is silent. 21 days is a significant delay. Councillor, your brief insists the supplier was at fault for this. Is that your position? Yes, Your Honour. There were unforeseeable supply chain issues. Then you will have the documentation, I state, not as a question, but as a requirement. The emails, the letters of notice to your client, the formal declarations of force majeure from that supplier. Please provide them. Brianna's hands are still. Your Honour, those documents they are privileged internal communications. Councillor, I say, my voice dropping a fraction, the velvet wearing thin. You cannot claim a third party is responsible for a breach and then hide the proof of that claim under privilege. Either the supplier was at fault, and you can prove it, or they were not. Which is it? She stares at me, cornered. She has nothing. We are arguing that the delay was not material. The court will determine materiality. I cut her off. Let us move to the payment schedule, since you brought it up. You state the defendant failed to remit payment as per Appendix C. Please direct the court's attention to the specific subclause your client is invoking. She visibly brightens, relieved to be on what she thinks is solid ground. She flips to the back of her binder. Yes, Your Honour. Appendix C, subclause 4A, which states... One moment. I interrupt again, my voice sharp. Subclause 4A pertains to initial deposit holds. The clause regarding post-delivery reconciliation is 6B. Are you citing the wrong clause? Councillor. A ripple of motion goes through the gallery. A quiet, shocked murmur. Even junior associates know you do not misquote the core of your own motion. Before Brianna can answer, Mr. Finch is on his feet again. Your Honour, if I may, this speaks to the core of our defence. Not only was the delay material, but the plaintiff knew it was coming. Proceed. Mr. Finch. I would like to submit for the record Defence Exhibit D7. This is an internal email, sourced from the plaintiff during discovery. It is from the plaintiff's own project manager, sent 2 weeks before the March 1st deadline, requesting an extension from my client. An extension. I add, that was never mentioned in their breach filing. He places the document on the overhead projector. The text is large enough for everyone to see. Brianna's entire argument that she was an innocent victim of a sudden supplier delay has just been contradicted by her own client's email. I keep my expression perfectly flat. The court notes a significant discrepancy between Councillor Hartwell's opening argument and the evidence presented from her own client's files. This will be entered into the record. In the gallery, I hear a phone buzzing on vibrate, a frantic, incessant sound. It is Luke's. He has his head bowed, his hand in his pocket, desperately trying to silence it. The senior partners at Hartwell and Perch are, no doubt, getting real-time updates from the associates in the room. They are watching their firm's reputation circle the drain. As Mr. Finch continues, I see one of Brianna's junior associates, a young woman who looks terrified, scurry to the plaintiff's table. She tries to subtly slide a new, thin manila folder onto Brianna's desk. "Counselor?" I say, my voice like a gavel itself. The young woman freezes, her hand still on the folder. "Bailiff," I say, "please retrieve the folder that associate was attempting to add to the counsel's table. Counsellor Hartwell. Are you aware that passing documents not logged as evidence is a sanctionable offence?" Brianna, who had not seen the exchange, looks bewildered, then furious at her own assistant. "Your Honour, I did not ask for that." "This court is not a law school," I say, my voice cold. "This is a hearing. You and your team will conduct yourselves accordingly. I see disorganization, miscited figures, and now, a failure of basic courtroom procedure." I look at the clock. This is a waste of the court's time. We will take a 20-minute recess. During this time, I expect you, Counsellor Hartwell, to get your case in order. When we return, I want to see the supplier documentation you claimed to have, and I want a coherent explanation for Exhibit D7, and be warned any further documents from either side that have not been properly filed, exchanged, and entered will be summarily excluded. Is that understood? "Yes, Your Honour," Brianna whispers, her face crimson, her shoulders slumped in defeat. The bailiff, a man I have known for years, looks at her with a practiced, pitiless expression. I stand. We are in recess. I do not look at Luke. I do not look at anyone but the bailiff as I turn and walk back through the oak door to my chambers, the click of the lock echoing behind me. The moment I am back in chambers, Maribel closes the door. Arthur Keene is already there, standing by the window, a manila envelope in his hand. He was not in the courtroom. His presence was never part of the plan. "It went as expected," I say, moving to the small water cooler. "Worse," Arthur says, his expression grim. He hands me the envelope. "This arrived by courier this morning. Anonymous." I open it. It is not a letter. It is a spreadsheet. A ledger. It details, with terrifying precision, a series of small, irregular transfers from the Hartwell and Perch client trust accounts. The amounts are just under the automatic reporting thresholds, siphoned over 6 months. It is not my money. It is not Luke's. It is her client's money. This is... I start, my voice low. Embezzlement. Arthur finishes, or something so close to it the distinction is purely academic. But, Eleanor, it is not for today. It has no place in the Hearthstone file. "I know," I say, the paper heavy in my hand. "This is a felony. This is disbarment. This is prison." My stomach tightens, but not with pleasure. This is a ruin I did not ask for. A sickness I did not know was this deep. I fold the ledger and walk to the small metal safe behind my desk. I spin the combination, place the envelope inside, and lock it. I will not look at it again today. It is poison to the current proceeding. My complaint to the State Bar was filed 2 days ago. Arthur says quietly. This information will be forwarded to them through the proper channels. Tomorrow. It will not be mixed with this hearing. Good, I say. Let the record speak for itself. In all matters. Maribel knocks. A soft, procedural rap. Your Honour? The local court reporter is sniffing around the lobby. He heard there was a substitution. He must have recognized your name on the docket. No comment. Maribel. To anyone? From anyone? This is a standard commercial hearing. Nothing more. Understood. She retreats. I sit at my desk, my back to Arthur. The small red light on my chamber phone is blinking, indicating a voicemail. I ignore it. My personal cell phone, tucked away in my purse, vibrates. I already know who it is. I pull it out and look at the screen. One new message. From Luke. Mum, I swear I didn't know. I didn't know any of this. I stare at the words. I didn't know. The anthem of the willfully blind. The plea of the man who stood by and let his mother be slapped on the courthouse steps. I silence the phone, do not reply, and put it back in my purse. My son's crisis of conscience is not my emergency. Not today. From the hallway, I can hear a muffled, frantic voice. It is Brianna, in a nearby alcove, on her phone. She is talking too loudly, her panic shredding her composure. Her junior associate walks past my door, looking pale, and I overhear Brianna's voice clearly through the associate's own phone, which must have been on the same call. It does not matter what the file says. If we lose this, we are appealing. We will file for a mistrial. We will blame the whole thing on conflict of interest. She is his mother. For God's sake. It is judicial misconduct. So, that is her play. Not to fix her case, but to attack the bench. I pick up my pen and, on a clean yellow legal pad, I write one sentence. Let the record speak. The 20-minute recess bell rings, its sharp electronic chime signaling the end of the break. I stand, button my robe, and smooth the front. The adrenaline is gone, replaced by a cold, clear focus. I walk back into the courtroom. The air conditioning seems to have been turned up. It hits the back of my neck as I take the 3 steps up to the dais. We are back on the record, I announce, the words flat and final. Councillor Hartwell, you have had 20 minutes. I am now asking you to provide the documentation justifying the supplier delay, or I am striking that entire line of argument. Brianna stands. She has, to her credit, pulled herself together. Her makeup is repaired. Her voice is lower, more controlled. She is attempting a different tone, one of professional grievance. Your Honour, we maintain that the supplier issue is central. However, my client's main grievance, which I will now detail, is that the defendant's own failures in site preparation. She is pivoting. It is a classic, if desperate, legal maneuver. If the facts you have are bad, just start arguing a new set of facts. She presents this new argument, but the logic is flawed. The entire case she filed was about delivery and payment. This new line of reasoning is not supported by a single motion in the file before me. Her argument has 3 massive, gaping, logical holes in it. I let her finish. Then I look to the defense. Mr. Finch, your response? Matteo Finch stands, and he does not even raise his voice. He speaks calmly, almost sadly, as if dismantling a child's poorly made toy. He addresses each of Brianna's new, unsupported points. Your Honour, that argument is not in the brief. But even if it were, Exhibit A, the contract, clearly places site preparation as the plaintiff's own responsibility. That is hole number 1. He continues, methodically, ticking off his points. Hole number 2, the plaintiff's own email, Exhibit D7, which we discussed, makes no mention of site issues, only their own request for a time extension. And hole number 3, this entire line of argument contradicts their own sworn affidavit, page 61. With each point, he is driving a nail into the coffin of her case. He is not attacking her. He is not mocking her. He is simply reading the record. He is doing exactly what I am doing. He is letting the file speak for itself. I let the silence in the room hang for a moment after Mr. Finch sits down. The case is, for all intents and purposes, over. All that remains is the summary. I look down at my notes, though I do not need them. Councillor Hartwell, I begin, my voice cutting through the stillness. Let us, for the record, be perfectly clear on what the file demonstrates. The court has identified 3 fundamental and unrebutted contradictions in the plaintiff's case. I hold up one finger. 1. The deadline. You claimed a March 1st deadline was met, yet the evidence shows a March 22nd delivery. You claimed this was a supplier's fault, yet you have provided 0 documentation for this, and your opponent has provided an email showing you requested an extension before the deadline, which you failed to disclose. I hold up a second finger. 2. The justification. You pivoted, mid-hearing, to an argument about site preparation, which is not in your original motion and is directly contradicted by the plain text of the contract, which places that responsibility on your own client. A third finger. 3. The citation. You have repeatedly, beginning with the dollar amount of the contract itself, miscited the very agreement you are here to enforce. I lean forward just slightly, my gaze fixed on her. This is the case as it stands. Do you have anything at all, rooted in the actual, filed evidence that contradicts these 3 points? A simple yes or no will suffice. This is the final turn of the screw. My questions are fast. Her answers must be slow. Brianna's hand, holding her pen, is shaking so hard she sets it down. She lifts her other hand to her mouth and bites down on her knuckle. I can see a faint sheen of perspiration on her upper lip, a dampness along her hairline. The paper in front of her has a small, dark spot where a drop of sweat has fallen. Your Honour? The nuances. That is not a yes or a no, Councillor. Do you have evidence to refute these points? No, but... Then please be seated. In the gallery, I see a sudden movement. It is Luke. He has unconsciously stood up, just slightly, half crouching in the aisle. He is physically placing himself between the bench and Brianna's table, a human shield. It is a pathetic, instinctive gesture, as if I were aiming a weapon. He holds the position for a beat. Then, realizing what he is doing, he sinks back into his seat, his face burning with a shame I cannot begin to untangle. He sees now. No one is shooting. There is only the truth, which is far more lethal. Mr. Finch makes one final motion. Your Honour, I would like to draw the court's attention to the contract flowchart, Exhibit F. On the large screen to my left, the projector flares to life. It is a simple process map of the contract's obligations. Mr. Finch's team has highlighted the plaintiff's path. It is a winding, broken red line, showing every missed deadline, every failed obligation. It is a visual representation of her entire case collapsing. I look at Brianna. The court also notes, I say, my voice devoid of all warmth, that the professional standards of this bar require candor, accuracy, and diligence. The repeated errors, the misrepresentations of the file, and the general lack of preparedness demonstrated today fall well short of that standard. This is not a personal rebuke. It is a formal, on-the-record admonishment. From the back of the courtroom, an older woman I do not know, simply a member of the public, lets out a low tisk and shakes her head, a gesture of profound disappointment. It is an audible judgment. The murmur spreads, a low, hissing sound of second-hand embarrassment and disapproval. It is the sound of a reputation evaporating in real time. I reach for the gavel. I strike the block once. The sound is not a thunderclap. It is a sharp, clean crack, like a thick cable snapping under tension. Order, I say into the ringing silence. Order in the court. The room goes quiet. But Brianna is no longer looking at her files. Her head is up, and her eyes are locked on mine, blazing with a toxic, desperate fury. Her professionalism is gone. Her panic is gone. And all that is left is the raw, ugly nerve of her hatred. "You are doing this to get back at me," she spits out. The words are not a formal motion. They are an accusation, torn from her throat. The bailiff tenses, his hand moving toward his hip. The court reporter's fingers fly. I do not raise my voice. I do not change my expression. I look at her, my face a mask of judicial calm, and I let my answer be the final word. The court, I say, my voice cold and precise, is basing its findings only on the evidence contained in the official record. Nothing else. I look at the small, glowing red light on the court reporter's machine. I look at the dark lens of the official recording camera on the wall. The history of this moment, the truth of it, is being etched into the permanent file. Her accusation, my denial, and the unassailable facts of the case. The record is speaking. The court will recess for 15 minutes to review the arguments before issuing its ruling. I announce, my voice final. I stand, turn, and walk back into the chambers, not waiting to see the chaos I am leaving behind. I do not sit. I stand by the window, looking at the familiar brick wall of the adjacent building. The adrenaline has faded, leaving only a deep, cold ache. The ache in my cheek from the slap, and a deeper one, somewhere behind my ribs. A soft knock. Then the door opens. It is not Maribel. It is Luke. He stands in the doorway, his suit jacket rumpled, his face ashen. He looks like a man who has just walked out of a burning building, unsure of what he has lost. He closes the door quietly behind him. "Mom." His voice is a raw whisper, scraping his throat. Are you really okay, I mean, in your head?" He is asking. Finally, the question Brianna had planted. Are you lucid? Are you competent? The doubt she had sown in him was so deep. He was looking at me, sitting on a judge's bench, and still questioning my sanity. I do not answer him with words. I walk to my purse, which I had left on the shelf. From it, I take a single, folded envelope. I hand it to him. He opens it. His hands are shaking. It is not a legal document. It is a letter, on heavy medical letterhead. It is the full neuropsychological evaluation, signed by Dr. P. Alden, head of neurology at the state's best hospital. I watch my son's eyes scan the page, his lips moving silently as he reads the summary. The words, superior cognitive function, no evidence of impairment, exceptional memory recall. I don't understand, he stammers. But the petition, Brianna said. She said you were getting lost. She said you needed protection. I did not need protection, Luke. I needed you to pay attention. I reach into my bag again and pull out a second set of papers. This is the one that matters. It is a copy of the draft guardianship petition I found on his laptop. Next to it, I place a printout of a life insurance form he had signed 2 years ago. Look at your signature. Luke, I say, my voice quiet. He looks at the insurance form. That's my signature. He looks at the guardianship petition. And that's my signature. Then he looks at them side by side. The signature on the petition is a perfect, identical match. Too perfect. It's the same, he whispers, his brow furrowing. Then a horrifying understanding dawns on his face. It's not just the same. It's identical. It's a scan. He looks up at me, his eyes wide with a sickness I have not seen in him before. She scanned my signature. She put it on a document to take away. To put you away. The plan was to put me in the Ridgeway facility, I say, my voice flat, stating a fact. The $240,000 appraisal of my house was to pay for it. He stumbles back, as if I had struck him, and sinks into the small visitor's chair. No, he mouths. She told me that was for a reverse mortgage, to give you freedom. She lied. He puts his head in his hands. Mum, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you say anything? The question hangs in the air, so full of his own failure that it suffocates the room. You didn't ask, I say. That is all. Just those 3 words. They land with the weight of an anvil. He flinches. He remembers. All the times I had tried to talk. All the times he had said he was too busy. All the times he had said, Mum, don't make waves with Brianna. Oh, God, he whispers. And now I see the pieces clicking into place behind his eyes, the cascade of small, ugly memories. The new account, the house deposit. She said it was an investment property, that my credit was better. I never signed the final loan papers. I thought the broker just handled it. He looks at me, his face a mask of dawning horror. She signed for me. She's been signing for me. The door to my chambers is suddenly yanked open. Brianna is standing there, her face a mask of pale fury, her eyes red. She ignores Luke completely. I'll be appealing this. She seethes at me, her voice low and shaking. On grounds of judicial bias, you will be reported. Before I can respond, I hear the ding of the elevator in the hallway behind her. She turns and stalks away, a whirlwind of expensive, empty rage. I look at the empty doorway she left. The law, I say, to no one in particular, is open to those with clean hands. Brianna, we will see how clean yours are. Maribel appears at the door, her face impassive. She glances at Luke, who is still sitting, broken, in the chair. Your Honour, a call from the State Bar's Council. They are confirming their meeting with Mr. Whitfield this afternoon at 4 p.m. regarding the firm's trust accounts. She is speaking to me, but the message is for Luke. He lifts his head, his eyes no longer confused, but hard, cold. He has finally, after all these years, been awakened. He stands up. He straightens his tie. "Thank you, Maribel," he says, his voice a stranger's. "Please confirm I will be there." Maribel nods once and disappears. Luke looks at me, his mother, his judge. There is an ocean of ruin between us. "I am so sorry," he says. "Go to your meeting." "Luke," I say, "I do not offer comfort. I do not offer absolution. That is not my role. Not anymore." He nods, his jaw tight, and walks out. I am alone again. I look at the clock. The 15 minutes are up. I take a deep breath, pushing the image of my son's shattered face away. I push away the memory of the slap. I push away the thought of the ledger in my safe. I lock it all behind a door in my mind, the one marked personal. I turn, my face composed, and walk back to the courtroom, ready to deliver my ruling. The courtroom is utterly silent. Everyone is standing, as is procedure, but the stillness is absolute. I sit straight-backed, my hands not visible, resting beneath the high wooden dais. The white pin spotlight from the ceiling illuminates the dark wood grain of the bench, but it feels cold, like the light in an operating theatre. I look at the file, then at a fixed point on the back wall, above the heads of the gallery. "Please be seated," I say. The collective scrape and rustle of the room settling is the last sound of movement. The court has now reviewed the arguments and the extensive file submitted for case number 22-907. I begin, my voice projecting into the quiet, each word a separate, clear stone dropped into a deep well. The plaintiff's case rests on 3 core propositions. First, that a deadline was met. Second, that a subsequent delay was the fault of a third party. And third, that a breach of payment occurred as specified in the contract. I pause. The court finds that the evidence, much of it from the plaintiff's own discovery, fails to support these propositions. In fact, it directly contradicts them. The defendant, conversely, has successfully demonstrated that the plaintiff was the first party to breach the terms of the agreement. I look at Mr. Finch, then at Brianna. It is a foundational principle of contract law in this state, established in Hathaway v. Calico in 2012 and affirmed in Mesa v. Arden in 2019, that the party to breach a contract first may not then demand performance from the other party. The first breach doctrine is not a nuance, it is a firewall. The plaintiff's breach, by failing to meet the documented timeline and failing to provide notice as contractually required, is a fire that burned down their own case. I look directly at Brianna. Her eyes are wide, glassy, fixed on my face. But I am not sure she is truly seeing me. She is seeing her own ruin. Therefore, it is the ruling of this court all claims for relief by the plaintiff, Hearthstone Modular, are hereby dismissed with prejudice. A sharp, choked gasp comes from the plaintiff's table. It is further ordered. I continue, my voice uninflected, that all court costs and reasonable attorney's fees for the defense are to be borne by the plaintiff. This is the final, financial nail. Brianna's body seems to wilt, to physically shrink. She slumps into her high-backed chair, her spine, which had been so rigid, dissolving. Her eyes are blank, unfocused, staring at the red line on the flowchart still burning on the projector screen. Her mouth is slightly open. "Finally," I say, and this is the part I have weighed most carefully. The court notes for the record a severe and troubling pattern of carelessness, misrepresentation of fact, and procedural incompetence from the plaintiff's counsel. This formal admonishment will be attached to the official record of this hearing. I reach for the gavel. I grasp its smooth, worn handle. I lift it 6 inches, and I bring it down once. The sound is not a bang. It is a definitive wooden crack. Final. Absolute. I say the last words of the ritual. This court is adjourned. As I stand, the room erupts, not in noise, but in frantic, quiet motion. Brianna's junior associates are scrambling, gathering binders, whispering to each other, pointedly not looking at their boss, who remains motionless, a living statue of defeat. In the gallery, I see Luke. He has not moved. His eyes are simply closed, his head bowed. He looks like a man who has just been pulled from icy water, gasping, alive, but in agonizing pain. He has survived, but he is not saved. I make one last note on the file in front of me, a simple administrative task. My handwriting is steady. Transmit full transcript and AV recording to State Bar Ethics Committee. Standard procedure. No comment. I stand, my duty done. I do not look left or right. I walk back to the 3 steps, descend them, and pull open the heavy oak door to my chambers. The crowd is beginning to file out behind me, and I can hear the first whispers starting, the hot, excited breath of rumour that will be all over the county courthouse by lunch. The door clicks shut behind me, soft and final. But in my ears, the only sound I hear is the sharp, clean echo of the gavel striking the wood. I have unrobed. The heavy black wool is folded neatly over my arm as I pack my briefcase. My personal items. My copy of the cognitive assessment. The key to the safe with the ledger, all are secured. I open the door to the hallway. It is no longer bustling, but it is not empty. She is waiting. Brianna. She is standing 20 feet away, near the bank of elevators, her face a terrible, blotchy mask of rage and tears. Her associates are gone. Luke is gone. It is just us, in the long marble corridor. The moment she sees me, she lunges. She does not run. She stalks, her heels striking the marble like hammers. "You!" she hisses, her voice a raw tear in the quiet. "You ruined me. You sat there in your robe, and you destroyed me." I do not step back. I stand my ground, my briefcase in one hand, the robe in the other. I look at her, my face as calm as the stone walls around us. "Your file ruined you, Brianna," I say, my voice not rising, not echoing. "I just read it." Her face contorts. This lack of fear, this simple statement of fact, is more than she can bear. A primal scream builds in her throat, and her hand comes up. The same hand. The one that struck me on the steps. She is swinging. Not a calculated slap this time, but a wild, backhanded strike meant to maim. Her hand never lands. A blur of blue uniform intercepts it. The bailiff, the same one from my courtroom, has her by the wrist. His grip is iron. "That's enough. Ma'am, you are in a courthouse." Brianna freezes, her arm trembling in his grasp. Her face inches from mine. She is panting, a trapped animal. I do not flinch. I do not even look at the bailiff. I hold her gaze. Slowly, I set my briefcase down on the floor. I open it. I take out a single, thin file folder, the one Arthur had prepared. I hold it up for her to see. It is a copy of the formal ethics complaint, complete with the anonymous ledger of the trust account transfers, all bearing the official filed stamp from the State Bar. The hearing, I say, my voice a quiet knife, was about the contract. This is not part of today's hearing. This is a separate matter. This is about the trust accounts. This is about your fitness to practice law at all. Her eyes snap from my face to the papers. The blood drains from her face. She understands. The case was a loss. This is her career. This is her freedom. The bailiff, seeing the fight gone, releases her wrist with a small shove. She stammers. You can't. I already have. A new voice, cold and steady, cuts in. She didn't. I did. Luke is standing there. He must have come from the stairwell. His face is hard, the softness and confusion gone, replaced by a chilling, adult resolve. I am cooperating fully with the bar, Brianna, he says, stepping up to stand beside me. About the trust accounts, about the forgeries, about the guardianship petition. From now on, no one touches my mother. Brianna looks between us, her mind scrambling for a foothold. She finds her old, default weapon sarcasm. A twisted, ugly smile cracks her face. Wow. Great performance, both of you. The wounded mother and the avenging son. You rehearsed this well. It is not a performance, I say, looking at her, but speaking, for the last time, to my son. It is a choice. I turn to Luke. He is a stranger, but he is finally himself. Live your part. Luke, go to your meeting. I have lived mine. He nods once, a curt, painful gesture, and turns, walking toward the Bar Association offices without looking back. Brianna is alone. Utterly, finally alone. She makes one last, desperate threat. I'll appeal, she shrieks at my back. I'll go to the press. I'll tell them how you set me up. I'll tell everyone. I stop walking. I turn my head slightly. I do not look at her. I look up. I point one finger at the small, dark dome in the ceiling tiles. The security camera. The one with the small, blinking red light. The truth, I say. Broadcasts better than rumours. Goodbye, Counselor. I walk away. I do not run. I do not look back. I walk down the long hall to Maribel's office. She is there, waiting. I hand her the folded robe. She takes it. Her expression unreadable. Professional. A good day's work, Judge, she says. A day's work, Maribel. I reply. I walk out, past the security checkpoint, and down the wide stone steps where I was struck this morning. The sun is high. The air is clean. But I am not done. I have one last thing to do. I turn around, re-enter the courthouse, and take the side elevator to the courtroom floor. The corridor is empty now. I use my temporary key to open the side door. Courtroom B4 is dark, empty, and silent. The projector is off. The files are gone. The only light is the dim, ambient glow from the exit signs. I walk up the 3 steps. I stand behind the bench. I look at the empty chairs, the silent tables. I run my hand over the smooth, worn wood of the gavel block. I pick up the gavel, feel its weight, its balance, its history. I set it back down in its cradle, perfectly aligned. I lean forward, speaking only to the wood, to the room, to the scales of justice that hang, invisible, in the air. The hearing is over. Thank you for listening to my story. Please comment below and let me know where you are listening from so we can connect and share our thoughts. I invite you to subscribe to Grandma's Family Diary, like this video, and support us further by hitting the hype button so this story can be heard by more people.